disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Been a fantastic day so far. So, on the train of speaking about David Menzies and the falsified arrest of this journalist, how they're trying to capture, free press, and this is the new tactics that they're trying to use to diminish independent voices, independent journalism, by creating these scenarios, by arresting a journalist for claiming that he assaulted people, even though he didn't. We could all see the proof. We could all see on camera that was completely falsified. That was completely a setup to, take down Rebel News, to take down a journalist. And we have seen Chrystia Freeland respond to this in the most just stupidest way possible. We have seen other people that responded to this in a chaotic way. Here's just how this is from how CBC reported on this. And, this is just kind of how the corporate media is looking into this, because the corporate media is going to report on this and they're going to show you the video here, but they're also going to use a tone to make it suggest that somehow David Menzies is some sort of heinous bastard for going up to Chrystia Freeland and asking her questions, as if some way that David Menzies is not, the proper journalist. Like somehow it's not etiquette enough that he's asking the deputy prime minister questions, critical questions about her position on foreign affairs. But take a look at this.
The RCMP is facing criticism for arresting a man who identified himself as a journalist. David Menzies works for Rebel News. He tried.
But by the way, why would you say self-identified journalist? What does that even mean? A self-identified journalist? I don't understand that concept. Like, he's going up and asking people questions and writing stories and he's reporting on it. So definitely he's a journalist, but why self-identified? Like, he's not approved by the Journalistic Council. He's not approved by the CRTC. Is that what it is? Is that why he's self-identified? He can't just be a journalist? That's such a weird statement to say. And of course, the CBC would use that again as a tactic to spin this around to make it seem like David Menzies is the heinous bastard for asking Chrystia Freeland questions.
Tried to ask the Deputy Prime Minister some questions yesterday in Richmond Hill, Ontario, when the arrest happened. The CBC's Kate McKenna is following the story in Ottawa, and she joins us now live. So, Kate, what can you tell us about this incident?
Well, Andrew, this is a video that's making quite a splash online. The video shows David Menzies approaching Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland yesterday in Ontario. It was captured on video by Rebel News.
Ms. Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islamo-nationalism? What? What are you doing? Arrest for assault. Why are you pushing me?
Yeah, such heinous behavior to ask questions to the Deputy Prime Minister. Such heinous, just absolutely, from the self-identified journalist. This guy is running havoc in Rebel News. This organization is just running absolute havoc by doing something that the average mainstream journalist, how many times have you seen CBC reporters doing the exact same thing, or CTV or Global, or in the States, CNN, ABC, TMZ, every single journalist has been in that action where they try to catch up to someone to ask questions. But they're trying to spin this to make it sound like they're trying to out David Menzies as some sort of like he's going on there purposely. He's trying to make a scene. He's not doing the most respectful job of journalism. That's why he's self-identified. Like, what the hell does that even mean?
You're under arrest for assault. You're under arrest for assault. Police, you're under arrest for assault. How am I under arrest? You bumped into me. You pushed into me. I was just scrubbing. I got my credentials here, and you just bumped into me. So excuse me.
Police, you're under arrest.
What is your name and your badge? What is your name and your badge?
You've been told you're under arrest.
Why am I under arrest? He blocked my way. I was just scrumming Christian Freeland.
I'm a police officer. You're under arrest.
What is your name and your badge number?
Assaulting a police officer.
How is that possible?
So just to kind of
Did you notice how many times he says, I'm a police officer, you're under arrest? As if that's some sort of argument. I'm a police officer, you're under arrest. So, silencio. Capiche? Like, why am I under arrest? Well, I'm a police officer. Okay. That's not an excuse. That's not an argument. That's not an answer to the question. Why am I being under arrest? Well, I'm the police officer, so that somehow makes me better than you. So, shut up, and you're under arrest. But watch how CBC takes that video and then, again, tries to spin it around to oust David Menzies as some sort of heinous person because he's not a typical journalist. He's not the mainstream journalist. And they're trying to spin this around to, again, go after Rebel News.
reiterate a little bit of what we saw in that video. We saw that Menzies tried to ask a question to Chrystia Freeland when he's blocked by the RCMP's security detail and then told that he's under arrest. And he responds by saying, well, he was just asking questions and moves to show his credentials to the RCMP detail. That video was released by Rebel News. It's not the entire video. The full version of the video goes on to show Mr. Menzies being arrested by York Regional Police. We did reach out to that police service that said that he was later released for having not posed a credible threat to the public, and he was released without conditions. Now, David Menzies is a reporter for Rebel.
So they take him down. They shoved him up against a bus terminal. They arrested him. They handcuffed him. They sent him off to prison. They said, "I'm a police officer, and you're under arrest. And you're arrested because of you assaulting me and how dangerous a person you are. Oh my God, you're crazy." And then just let him go because they had nothing to arrest him for. There was no charge. Again, how much more of a political stunt could this obviously be? How much more of a stunt could this obviously be? The fact that you could see on video the guy was standing there capturing him, trying to tackle David Menzies and arrest him, but then they just let him go because there's nothing to charge him with. But yet somehow the CBC, and I give them credit because they're not trying to make it as obvious as like CNN or NBC. They're trying to craft this in a way to make it sound like they're non-biased against David Menzies, but at the same time, they're going to do a complete 180 to try to pin this as saying somehow David Menzies is at fault because he is not a typical journalist. He was the one that went up to Chrystia Freeland and had the audacity to ask her questions. Because a good journalist would just wait patiently and then just regurgitate whatever Chrystia Freeland will say afterwards.
News, which is a media organization that prides itself on its own website of being outside of mainstream media. It presents itself as having a conservative worldview, but this move from the RCMP detail is receiving quite a bit of criticism online and from some prominent people for how Mr. Menzies was treated by police. It was also criticized by the leader of the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, who posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, saying, "This is the state of freedom of the press in Canada in 2024. Now, it is worth noting that this is not the first time Menzies has been arrested in trying to speak to politicians. In fact, even prior today, there was already a website that was set up intended to fundraise on behalf of Menzies when he is arrested. And, you know, it's also happened when he's talked to conservative politicians. For instance, he was forcibly removed from an Andrew Scheer event as well as a Melissa Lantsman event in 2021. But Ezra Levant, the publisher of...
So, this is again where I know people are going to jump the bandwagon and say that Pierre Poilievre is definitely on the side of freedom of the press and whatnot. And people are going to, hail him as this, like, victor when it comes to, taking down the totalitarianism of Justin Trudeau. I want to give Pierre Poilievre respect in his response to this. He definitely was better than any other politician in response to this. But you have to understand, whether it be Pierre Poilievre, whether it be Justin Trudeau, whether it be Jagmeet Singh, whether it be Black Quebecois, whether it be anybody in that position, they would have done the exact same thing, because it's about the powerful. It's not about one particular political party. It's about the corrupted collective group, the collective elitist criminals that don't want to be held accountable by journalists, by accountable journalists. That is why Canada is silent about Julian Assange. That is why Canada is so silent when it comes to protecting freedom of press, when it comes to, the legislations that they're putting on to oppress podcasters and independent broadcasters and journalists and writers and people outside of traditional media. They're putting such a heinous tactic against them because the corrupted oligarchy does not want the spotlight on them. So they're going to find every tactic in the book to try to do something like this. They're trying every tactic to criminalize and silence and oppress independent outsider organizations like Rebel News and content creators and podcasters and anyone that holds critical to the establishment. They're going to do everything they can in their power, no matter who's in charge, to do something like this. And that's why David Menzies, as what happened with Chrystia Freeland, but also got, attacked by, heard Mel Lastman, got attacked by, Andrew Scheer's campaign. He was the prominent conservative before Pierre Poilievre. So again, it doesn't matter, liberal, conservative, they're both going to screw you. They're both in bed with the same exact fundamentals of oppressing you.
The website is saying that they are considering legal action, and they're also fundraising for that legal action on a website that's been set up being promoted as part of this arrest that happened yesterday. The RCMP has not responded to request for comment.
The RCMP has not requested to comment on this, but luckily, we know who this RCMP officer is. Because according to the Western Standard here, the RCMP officer who arrested David Menzies identified as Greg Dumuchel. Dumuchel. I don't know if that's supposed to be like a French name. Is it Dumuchel? Dumuchel? I don't know how to pronounce that, but we'll go with Dumuchel. And they're now, David Menzies and Rebel News is now pursuing a lawsuit against the RCMP for false arrest. And it goes on to say, this is from the Western Standard, the RCMP officer who had Rebel News reporter David Menzies arrested for colliding with him has been identified as Constable Greg Dumuchel. Found him thanks to at Andrew Kent, tweeted Canadian business executive Son Richard on Sunday. And those are the tweets there. Dumuchel said in his LinkedIn profile that he's worked with the RCMP as an RCMP officer since 2014, and he has been a free agent, professional baseball player since 2008. He played for the Oakland County Cruisers in the Frontier League in 2010. For a few months in 2008, he was an outfielder for Ottawa Rapids Can-Am League. His education experience was studying marketing sports management at Lethbridge College from 2003 to 2005. His skills include being an outfielder, first baseman, baseball, and scouter. And they chose him to be an undercover RCMP officer for Chrystia Freeland. I'm very curious now how that connects all in. Dumuchel and Pitcher Butte RCMP Constable Brittany Small talked to Pitcher Butte High School students in 2015 about the multiple dangers of the internet and sending inappropriate photographs online. He spoke at a time when teenagers keep their innermost thoughts and secrets locked up in a diary. Now teenagers post all kinds of information about themselves on Facebook for the world to see. Like how he used to be a baseball player. A sea of unprized hands greeted him when asked about how many students had a Facebook account. Few students were able to guess the number of Facebook accounts worldwide was 1.4 billion. Menzies was arrested by police officers on I don't even understand half this article. I don't understand half this story right now, because you went from a baseball player to then talking about schools, about, the safety on. Is that how he got into, RCMP? And he seems like this really, kind of, I want to get into intelligence. I want to get into the CIA. I want to get, into people's thoughts. He seems like that kind of creep. Menzies was arrested by police officers on January 8th after he attempted to ask Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland about the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. While Menzies wanted to know why the Canadian government was not standing up to the IRGC, Dumitchell bumped into him to block him confronting Freeland. He proceeded to grab him and punched him up against the wall. "You're under arrest for assault," he said. I believe his exact words were, "I'm an officer, you're under arrest. I'm a police officer, you're under arrest." As many times as possible when David Menzies was asking why he was under arrest. "I'm an officer, you're under arrest." Because that's apparently good tactics of someone in control of our security. I feel so much safer now knowing that undercover cops are arresting journalists for asking questions, and then when a journalist is asking why he's under arrest, the officer fails to respond. I feel so much safer now knowing that that is our, security force here in Canada. That they're arresting journalists and not the people that have actually committed crimes. I feel so much better for myself knowing that this guy used to play, junior baseball, and then told a bunch of kids that, hey, Facebook is dangerous, and then became an RCMP officer, just like that. I feel so much gratitude for my safety to put it on the hands of these idiots. Wow. Because journalism is absolutely deadly.